Most celebrity products fail. A famous face slaps their name on a bottle, the fans buy a few, and within a couple of years, it quietly disappears from the shelves. Now here is what makes this story different. A cage fighter with zero experience in the drinks business walked into an industry ruled by a giant more than 200 years old. And in under 3 years, he sold his whiskey brand in a deal worth up to $600 million. It became one of the biggest Irish whiskies on the planet and started eating into the king of the category on its own turf. This is the story of how Conor McGregor turned a bottle named after a Dublin postcode into one of the greatest paydays in the history of sports, and how the whole thing later came back to haunt him. Let us start with the idea. By 2018, Conor McGregor was the biggest star the UFC had ever produced. He had knocked out Jose Aldo, become a 2-division champion, and boxed Floyd Mayweather for a payday most fighters cannot even dream of. But McGregor understood something a lot of athletes learn too late. Fighting money has an expiration date. The purses stop the moment the body gives out. He wanted something that would keep paying him long after his last fight, and so he reached for the one thing he could sell better than anyone: himself and where he came from. He launched an Irish whiskey and named it Proper No. 12, a nod to D12, the Dublin postcode of Crumlin, the working-class neighborhood that raised him. He very nearly called it Notorious after his own nickname, but in the end, he stamped it with his hometown instead. And at first, the whiskey world was not impressed. Here was a loud, brash fighter marching into a business dominated by Jameson, a brand more than 230 years old, older than the United States itself. Serious whiskey people rolled their eyes. Celebrity booze was supposed to be a vanity project, a quick cash grab that faded fast. Nobody expected a UFC fighter to actually threaten the establishment. But McGregor had a weapon the old distilleries could never buy: attention. He had tens of millions of followers hanging on his every post, and a face people simply could not look away from. So he sold the whiskey exactly the way he sold his fights: loud, constant, and absolutely everywhere. He was in the ads, he was on social media with a bottle in his hand. He priced it to be affordable rather than luxury, so ordinary fans could actually buy it. And crucially, he did not try to do it alone. From the very beginning, he partnered with a serious spirits company called Proximo, the same distribution powerhouse behind names like Jose Cuervo and Bushmills. He brought the fame, they brought the machine. The result was staggering. In just 2.5 years, Proper No. 12 shipped more than 500,000 cases, over 6 million bottles, across multiple countries. It rocketed up the rankings to become one of the biggest Irish whiskey brands in the entire world. The bottle with the Crumlin postcode on it was suddenly sitting on supermarket shelves across Ireland and behind bars all over America. And it was pulling drinkers away from Jameson on Jameson's most important market. A fighter had genuinely disrupted a centuries-old industry, and the people who laughed at the start were not laughing anymore. If you're enjoying this breakdown of how a fighter built a whiskey empire from nothing, take a second to subscribe. We break down the business empires behind the biggest names in fighting every single week. And then came the moment that turned success into a fortune. Proximo had been steadily buying its way deeper into the company, growing its stake from 20% to 49%, and finally, in April of 2021, to a controlling majority. That final deal was reported to be worth up to $600 million for the founding team. Now, that headline number included money the partners had already earned along the way, but the scale of it was still enormous. Split between McGregor and his 2 co-founders, his personal share was estimated at somewhere around $125 to $130 million. To put that in perspective, That year, McGregor topped the Forbes list of the highest paid athletes on the entire planet, ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. And the majority of that money did not come from fighting at all. It came from a whiskey named after his old neighborhood. This is the part that makes it more than just a lucky celebrity cash grab. McGregor did not simply rent out his name for a flat fee like most famous faces do. He co-founded the brand, took real ownership in it, built it with experienced partners, and then sold at the absolute peak of its momentum. He turned the short, brutal, finite career of a fighter into the kind of lasting fortune that most athletes never come close to. On paper, it is one of the smartest business moves any athlete has ever made. But there is a sting in the tail, and it is a big one. Because McGregor had sold the majority of the company, he no longer controlled the brand he built, and that became a serious problem. In November of 2024, a civil court verdict in Dublin went against him. The fallout was immediate, and it spread through the drinks world fast. Major Irish retailers pulled his brands from their shelves. The company that operates Dublin and Cork airports removed his products from its bars. And the spirits giant that now owned Proper No. 12 moved to strip his name and his face off the marketing entirely. The very image that had built the whiskey into a global success had suddenly become a liability, and because he had cashed out years earlier, there was very little he could do to stop it. The face was being peeled off the bottle. So step back and look at the whole arc. It is a genuinely remarkable business story. A fighter with no experience whatsoever took a bottle named after a Dublin postcode, outmarketed a 200-year-old institution, and walked away with a fortune that made him one of the richest athletes in the world. But it is also a cautionary tale wrapped inside a success story. When you build a brand entirely on your own name and your own image, that brand rises with you, and it can fall with you too. The whiskey lived on without him. Whether his name ever finds its way back onto that bottle is a decision that no longer belongs to him. So here is the question worth sitting with. Was Proper No. 12 the smartest thing Conor McGregor ever did? A masterclass in turning fame into a fortune at exactly the right moment? Or a brand that was always going to be only as strong as the man whose face was on the label? Drop your take in the comments, we genuinely want to hear it. And if you want more real stories from the world of fighting, the money, the empires, and the deals behind the biggest names, hit subscribe and stick around. We have a new one for you every single week.